Marcus Rashford and where he will go after Manchester United is the biggest talking point concerning this big football club right now. Talks have emerged now claiming that he's linked with Emino, a newcomer in the Italian Serie A in Como. Well, I'm here to give you all the deal details of what exactly has happened. My name is Webb. Like, share, subscribe. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for keeping it here on the United Hotspot. Now, guys, I've had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about what exactly is going on with Marcus Rashford, with people asking me whether indeed it is true that Rashford's camp has held talks with Como. Como is one of the newcomers, the newly promoted teams in the Italian Serie A, coached by a former Premier League giant, Arsenal and Chelsea, that is Sheikh Fabregas, doing decently well. Right now, they're lying about two places of relegation in the Italian Serie A, which is not so bad for a newcomer. But listen, guys, the truth is, and I'm here from my sources to confirm it to you, that Como has not held any talks with Marcus Rashford's team, despite them already being in Italy. No disrespect to Como, but they don't feel, neither does Marcus Rashford himself feel, that Como is the club for him to restart his career at. It is not at his level, it's not at his standards. They wouldn't even afford to pay him. So that is not happening now. This is what has happened. Marcus Rashford's team has been in Italy, like of course we told you, Fabrizio Romano confirmed this as well, that they have been in Italy to talk to first AC Milan, and they held talks. Now we are yet to know the exact conversations they had in those talks, but what I picked from my sources in Italy is that the proposal of AC Milan was that they will pay a half of his wages, United pays the remaining half, and they sign him for the rest of the season with an option of buying, not an obligation. An option. There is a difference. If you're obliged to buy after the loan spell, you're buying the player but suspending the purchase or the deal. But with it's an option depending on how he performs and how impressed they are with his performances. AC Milan right now are languishing in about 8th position on the pile in the Italian Serie A. Teams like Atalanta are above them. That's not where they want to be. So they are trying to find players who are going to help them finish as high as possible in this season, which you would call a season of a bit of transition for AC Milan. But they know Rashford can be important and integral in that, but they do want to get him for a fee they can afford. So according to what we get from inside sources, is that they are willing to meet half, and United pays the other half, get him on loan with an option of buying at the end of the season. Now that's one, but they did not talk to only AC Milan. They also spoke to Juventus. Now we're not sure what deal Juventus have tabled for Marcus Rashford, but they spoke to Juventus as well, and probably Juventus has several options. They might want to buy the player. They might want to, suggest a loan deal because they have players that maybe United would make use of. So those are two of the talks that have already, been held concerning Marcus Rashford and going to Italy. Now, we do know as well that after Italy, they were destined to move to Germany and also speak to Borussia Dortmund. Whether that is done, perhaps by the time you watch this video, it might have been done. But those are the three clubs that Rashford and his team have seriously been speaking to about a possible move away from Man United. So those are the facts. So Como is not in the talk. Rashford, of course, and his team respect Fabregas, and they know how important the Como project is for Fabregas and for them as a club, what they are trying to do. But clearly, I think as we would all expect, you don't really think that Como is a club at the level of Marcus Rashford, if especially is moving from a club like Man United. So that's exactly what's going on. So we are going to wait and see, of course, what will happen. I'm quite certain that one of these three clubs will sign him. The AC Milan deal for me isn't bad, because if you've been paying a player more than £320,000 per week, so half of that is about £160,000 per week, and that's what United would be paying for 6 months for the rest of the season. My view is it's better than keeping him there. He's not playing, but you have to play the full amount. So whereas it's painful for you to be playing a player, to be paying a player to like Rashford to play for another club, I think the fact that it's not a Premier League rival, and that's why I was telling people it's not ruled out, but it's maybe harder for Man United to agree a loan deal for Rashford to a Premier League opponent. If it's a full buy, they would. But if you're going to say loan Rashford to Arsenal, and United has to pay half of his wages for him to play at Arsenal and maybe help them win the Premier League title, it wouldn't augur well with United, would it? Unless they are buying him and taking the whole burden. So I think it's a look at the situation with Chelsea and Sterling. So imagine Chelsea are paying part of the wages of Sterling, and Sterling is perhaps the top performer for Arsenal as they beat Chelsea to a Champions League spot or even the title. So how would it look? I think it doesn't augur well with the fans, with the owners of the team. It's not cool. It's not a good feeling or a good place to be at. So that's exactly what's happening. But I think it's most likely that Rashford is going to go to Italy. I think one of the two parties, AC Milan and Juventus, might have the deal that might get him. But we are waiting to see, because even Napoli before was linked with Rashford with potential offers of a swap deal involving Victor Osimhen. That has gone silent a bit, but it is not completely rolled out. So there's still more options on the table, and this is just the primary stages, if I would say, of trying to understand the deal and what offers are available and what could make sense. So anything could still happen. It's not done or dusted for United. It is indeed, of course, still a deal in progress, if I would call it that. So that's where we are today in terms of the Marcus Rashford situation. What is, again, what people need to understand is that the door is not completely shut on Rashford returning to Man United. Whereas we as supporters have shut him out completely, the door is not completely shut, because, again, if there is no offer that suits the interests of all parties, then Rashford will still stay Man United player, because he's still contracted to the club for a long time. So this deal is not an overnight thing, and like I've been telling you, you've got to be patient with it. You might be excited about Garnacho, about Antony, about Casemiro, who is bound to leave also and go to Saudi, probably Al Nassr. But with Rashford, there's got to be a certain level of patience, because he's a big player on a big contract, and he's a player who certainly cannot be pushed over just anyhow. He's got to go to a place where he wants to be, where he's loved, where he will feel appreciated, and Man United have got to respect his decision. So it's got to be a sort of I would call it a tripartite deal, where all three parties, that the club that takes him, himself, and Man United, are all benefiting. So it doesn't happen easily. It is got to take to take time. You look at it, compare this with the deal of, for example, the case of Casemiro, and you're thinking, for Casemiro, maybe all parties might not entirely, benefit, fully. Because I mean, for example, if Casemiro goes to Saudi, probably it's not the ideal place he would have wanted to be in this state. He certainly has got to compromise in a way. For Rashford, there might not be big compromises. He has got to go where he loves, in a deal that benefits United, but also, most importantly, the team that will want to take him and, of course, offer to meet the huge demands of this 27-year-old English international. Of course, who is certainly looking to rejuvenate his career that is sinking. So that's United for you. That's the quick update for you. Clarity, Como, and Rashford, nothing. Juve, AC Milan, talks have been held. They are done. Borussia Dortmund next. Let's wait and see what will happen. Subscribe to this channel. I will be back with more updates as they do come in. Like, share. My name is Webb. Cheers.